Good evening and welcome along to Business Today. I'm Jerome Bolsonko with Winnie Bees and Akochi on Sign Language. And here to give you what is making headlines from the Daily Report. It is Boxing Day and we quickly kickstart off with business on Boxing Day today as businesses on Kampala streets have been low despite the many traders who showed up early to work. These have attributed this to the difficult economic situation the country has suffered this year as well as the effects of COVID. Now, Samla Hanifa was in town this morning. This is what she gathered.
Moving through the streets of Kampala this morning, one would think that the country is under lockdown due to a few people and cars on the streets. As the day wore on, a large number of people began to rush into the business areas to begin their regular enterprises at around 10 a.m. In spite of Chikubo being one of the busiest avenues in Kampala, only a small number of customers in the seller's estimation had visited the businesses.
People are few compared to other days. The ones coming are still very few. That's why some shops are still closed.
We were here even yesterday. There was nothing much because people are still celebrating their days. But for us, we are still here anyway. COVID-19 affected us so much because of the prices for products went high. And knowing that we sell to the ordinary Ugandans, we did not increase prices, which later affected us.
On the other hand, Abdul Hakim, a trader in Chikubo, says this year's Christmas is much better compared to last year when the country was under lockdown.
This one is much better because the other Christmas we were still in problems of, as you know, we traders, we had some goods which were still in Nakawa, but for now, all this year they have been releasing the goods, the containers, so we have sold them, we have sold all the goods we brought.
He says since January this year they have been making money to pay rent and revenue, which they failed to pay last year, which has helped them sell all their stock this Christmas.
COVID-19, they are asking for you revenue, you don't have money for revenue. They need the rent. Yeah? So starting from January, we decided first sell the commodities, the old stock. The money from the old stock paid for the revenue.
Moving around the streets, street vendors say that this holiday season has been slow for business since Ugandans are still struggling financially. These vendors have also urged KCCA to stop seizing their goods which they use to support their families.
Business is slow. Today is 26th, but we have not sold a thing. The other thing is that KCCA takes away our merchandise and demands more than what it actually costs.
Since COVID-19, we have been here on God's will. We have faced so many challenges, but we thank God the government has created for us market.
The situation is similar in the transportation industry as most of the taxis were parked and no one was inside. The park managers have informed us that most of the taxi users are still at home recovering from Christmas celebrations and that most Ugandans are not doing well financially, which is why most of them are still in the villages.
Business today is slow. A stage of 50 cars, only 20 have worked. Most people are still in the villages. This season, people are doing bad as far as money is concerned. The ones who went to the villages were overcharged. Perhaps that is why they have decided to stay there.
Being a Boxing Day, most families are expected to be home, celebrating and resting after the festivities of Christmas. But here it is business as usual, and most traders have attributed it to the effects of COVID-19. They are saying they are not taking any more chances of staying home. Sam Lanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Business world never sleeps, and so do we. But now let's move on to the next report. The Deputy Governor is seeking to amend the Bank of Uganda Act. The Bank of Uganda has approved the proposal to modify the Bank of Uganda Act to ensure its independence in carrying out its policies and overseeing the economy. Dr. Michael Ego, the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Uganda, observed that without a set provision in the legislation, performing the functions of the Bank of Uganda is extremely difficult.
The former Bank of Uganda Governor Emmanuel Tumusime Mutebile advocated for a great independence and constitutional safeguard against political intervention in the central bank when he spoke before the Constitutional Review Commission in 2003. Now that it hasn't been completed to date, Dr. Mike Ego, the Bank of Uganda's Deputy Governor, has resumed work on the plan to amend the Bank of Uganda Act in order to ensure its independence to strengthen its operations.
With the capitalization to strengthen the independence of the central bank. So really it's got to do with the autonomy of the central bank. What do we require to realize the autonomy of the central bank? And that has got to be enshrined in the law. In the absence of it being enshrined in the law, then it becomes difficult for the central bank to become autonomous in its decision-making and its operations.
Dr. Ego contends that the Act needs to define the Bank of Uganda Monetary Policy Committee and include provisions related to financial stability.
We want to strengthen the financial sector oversight in light of the banking problems we had recently. So we are thinking of institutionalizing some of the committees going to deal with that. So, for example, the Monetary Policy Committee is, we are thinking that it should have a statutory establishment, that it should be defined in the Act. We're also thinking of having financial sector stability committee that's going to be overseeing the stability of the financial sector.
He as well makes the observation that the fiscal deficit has remained because revenue collection has not kept up with the expansion in government spending as a reference to fiscal policy. According to Moses Kagwa, the acting director of economic affairs at the Ministry of Finance, Uganda's tax contribution to GDP has historically been much lower than the nation's capacity for raising domestic revenue to support the government initiatives.
We have grown less, but still when you look at our GDP, we should have at least had as a percentage a higher number. So that's why we formulated the domestic revenue mobilization strategy, which says that each year we should strive to collect at least an extra 0.5 percentage points of GDP to add to what we have already collected. So the medium-term revenue strategy has a number of measures that we must take. And of course, one of them is the review of the tax expenditures, that is the exemptions, tax incentives that are there.
According to him, Uganda is losing 2.1% in tax exemptions, and as a result, the Ministry of Finance Planning and Economic Development is seeking to lower tax expenditure by 0.2% annually. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now we look at Malta's green manufacturing strategy. The industry sector is collectively struggling to hit the sustainable development targets, utilizing efficient industrial processes and standard product use to realize smart industrialization and development. Now in Uganda, the economy-wide green manufacturing strategy is partly dented by technological shortage, as just few establishments are able to comply with the demand of the market.
The green manufacturing strategy a 5-year master plan that aims to achieve maximum production with minimum resource use and environmental strain is the focus of Uganda's efforts in the industrial sector as it races to get a firm grasp on sustainable development. However, this is put to the test in the light of the expanding sector and target compliance.
For example, in Mukono, we have Namande Industrial Center, but even within Kampala, we have industries coming up. So, but of course, with industries, you have the concentration of pollutants. You have the air emissions, but you also have the wastewater discharges, among others. So you have different streams of waste that are released. So it requires good systems, environmental management systems, to manage the different streams of waste that are coming out of the industrialization process. So it becomes a huge challenge. Of course, you understand that we need careful planning, and we also need to do proper zoning for the industrialization sector.
Previously, the State Minister for Trade, Industry and Cooperatives stressed the importance of a strong industrial sector as a measure of socio-economic transformation as Uganda pushes beyond the agro-industrial-led development.
The contribution of 27.1% to GDP. This is the contribution of industry. If you aggregate what is being manufactured, the productivity of manufacturing towards our GDP is 27.1%.
Especially in Kampala, I don't have figures or facts offhand, but you understand the levels of air pollution are quite high. And then you also have drainage channels that are getting discharges from industries. I will not name them, but there are several industries that are releasing untreated wastewater into some of the drainage systems within Kampala. So we need good systems. Of course, we need commitment. We need political will.
Aside from forestry and greening initiatives that preserve the environment and build natural carbon sinks, green production technologies such as acid regeneration plants and air pollution control systems are not a luxury to many establishments in the manufacturing industry. The manufacturing industry's output increased from $4.77 billion in 2017 to $6.66 billion just last year. That's 15.52% and 16.47% respectively. However, if sustainable industrialization is given priority, this may work.
Large and by the manufacturing industry actually does the environment impact assessments, but I think where we have a challenge is the aspect of enforcement. So you find that most times they don't do the environment audits every year, but also you find that in fulfilling the conditions of approval is a little inadequate, most especially in terms of the waste management component and then the pollution aspect. You find that there are a lot of industries that actually emit particulate matter into the atmosphere.
The implementation of Uganda's Vision 2040 National Development Plan 3 and the long-term climate strategy are anticipated to play a significant role in ensuring the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals and targets. Ivan Tibenkana, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Let's look at microfinance institutions in Uganda. The microfinance has been used for development purposes in Uganda since 2000. As the alternative system of funding was pursued as a way to avoid flawed top-down development strategies and to empower people in the country not yet able to compete in national markets. Now, the microfinance setup helps to provide an additional level of resilient behavior in the economy at large. However, these microfinance institutions want to be called banks. Well, Ronnie Katusime.
Microfinance is a banking service that gives unemployed or low-income people or groups access to financial services that they would not otherwise have. It involves offering financial services such as credit, savings, insurance to economic sectors that aren't catered to by conventional formal financial institutions. Therefore, the term banks would be very significant to the sector.
Microfinance institutions and microfinance deposit-taking institutions want an amendment in the bill so that they can also called bank. From their presentation, you can see they have a case. For example, they say once they are called a bank, their clientele will gain more confidence. And that means they will deposit more with them. The point which I bought very well is that currently they lend about 250 billion, but they mobilize about 370 billion. So most of their lending is based on borrowing from commercial banks.
While commercial banks typically deal with corporate clients, SMEs, and people with higher income levels and extend financing facilities primarily based on collaterals and borrowers' capacity to repay, whereas microfinance serves the financial services needs of the unprivileged and small businesses and is typically a collateral-free short-term facility. Additionally, the Microfinance Amendment Bill will make it easier to distinguish between the regulated and unregulated tiers.
Would like them to approve, which will allow us, the MDI, the microfinance institutions that are regulated by Bank of Uganda in Tier 3, to use the word bank. And when we use the word bank, this will build public confidence in the sector for those that are regulated, because as of now, the customers find it difficult to differentiate between a regulated microfinance institution and also those microfinance institutions that are not regulated, but they are under Tier 4, which are not regulated by Bank of Uganda. These include money lenders, SACCOs.
It facilitates effective and efficient household operation in general. Low-income individuals who do not have access to official financial institutions are the typical microfinance clientele. The majority of microfinance clients are self-employed individuals who frequently run their own businesses out of their homes in an effort to combat poverty. Bronia Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now let's talk matters pricing the carbon note. As the nation's economy changes and affects key industries like transportation, manufacturing and agriculture, Uganda's responsibility to manage the cost of pollution has deliberately changed. As a result, there is now a significant pollution burden, and how to mitigate it is raising huge concerns, particularly for residents in Kampala, the country's capital, largest industrial city.
Reflecting off the National Greenhouse Gas Inventory 2005 to 2015, Uganda's greenhouse gas emissions increased by a 40.7% change, from 53.4 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents to 90.1 metric tons. This has drastically continued to change with the socio-economic transition across all sectors.
But also, because of our so many actions, the energy sector is polluting, our vehicles are polluting, we are cutting trees, we are destroying the wetlands, we are releasing carbon into the atmosphere, methane is being released when we destroy the wetlands, when we are looking after our livestock in a very unprofessional manner. Methane is being released, carbon dioxide is being released, sulfur is being released, waste management is so bad.
Kampala's position as the capital, doubling as the industrial city, stretching to cover the Mukono-Kampala industrial corridor, has attracted a multitude of establishments and a change in land use and suddenly a price on the pollution load.
You find many sites in the city here measuring up to 50, up to 70, up to 80. And this is worse when you have peak with traffic. So it's early in the morning, around 9, 8, when everyone is rushing to work. When they all park their cars, it somehow stabilizes, and again rush hour in the evening when they are going home. But also moving slightly into around 8 p.m., which signifies most likely people have now reached home and they are cooking supper. So you see it correlates very well with the behavior of the public.
The response to sustainable economic progress has been designed to attract investment in clean energy utilization, especially with a call for renewable energy, electric mobility, among other mechanisms. Although the targets seem far-fetched with shortages in technological transfer and capital for business remodeling, for instance, in the transport sector.
So they are talking about EVs, electronic vehicles. And in Uganda, I know we have put an emphasis on Kayora. That's fine. However, if we are going to go into green economy, look at how many borders Uganda has. How many tuk-tuks do we have? Where is a single research of a battery that should use? My media guy told me that he rode on an electric battery-driven tuk-tuk here, border. I mean, if that is happening, who is doing it? And if you go research deeper like you are doing research, investigative research, you might find it's a German, not an African, not a Ugandan.
The city's gleaming hope, however, rests in the direction powered by the nationally determined contributions and the long-term development strategy by the KCCA and the central government.
So we have a strategy that we have developed, the Clean Air Action Plan, which is guided by our Clean Climate Change Action Plan. It's part of that. And we have a cocktail of activities that we want to do, or we are doing actually already, some of them, to bring down pollution. And green mobility, electric motorcycles, electric boarders are one such solution.
The price on the pollution load is bound to rise as population, the industry, among other contributors, grow, and largely a precise response lies in the adoption of clean energy utilization among other climate-smart innovations and investments. Ivan Tibenkana, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, away from that, we look at rooting for conservation investment. Conservation revenue is a significant source of foreign exchange and jobs. Meanwhile, this is bound to be completely fulfilled as long as the ecosystem is conserved. Consequently, the deterioration of central forest reserves and other ecosystems is a serious worry for respective authorities, such as the National Forestry Authority and the general public.
Opportunities presented by Uganda's ecosystem, especially ecotourism, have largely been reliant on the vibrancy of the wildlife and forestry. The tourism receipts in 2012 amounted to $834 million in foreign exchange, rising to $1.6 billion and 570,000 jobs in 2018, and anticipated to contribute at least 32.5 trillion Ugandan shillings between now and 2026. This is, however, questionable as of now.
Of late, we've seen a trend of creation of land titles, private land titles in central forest reserves. And this has costed us in terms of degrading the forest and also costed us in terms of funds. Once titles are created, the owners would want to occupy the area. And then when they occupy the area, we find ourselves going into court battles, which take a long time while the forest is being degraded. This has been a challenge. We have very many land titles. I think the last submission we did to the Ministry of Lands for submission for cancellation, we're about 670 something land titles. So this is a big challenge. I call upon the district land boards to be very careful when they are creating land titles, and the general public to be vigilant that when these titles are created in the forest reserves, they cost all of us as a country.
The tourism sector, which is predominantly private-centered and guarded by the government, anticipates to raise up to 425 tourism enterprises in 2026, as compared to the current figure of 205 establishments. This is expected to rely on the implementation of an effective operational framework for sustainable resource utilization.
The country shouldn't only look at gold, it shouldn't only look at coal, but even water is a mineral resource. The timbers is a mineral resource. Where exploitation of such minerals is on a large scale or small scale, then it would require government to sign a memorandum of understanding with such investors and the local people who are being affected, so that it treats the negative consequences and transform them into positive effects or benefits to the communities. So I think there is much need to see that we can have a comparative study to some other countries that have gone an extra mile as far as exploitation of resources is concerned.
Human activity such as logging and timber harvesting, agriculture, industrial setup have crucially contributed to a decline in the natural land cover, tropical high forests and wetlands, all key climate protection elements, and the cost is broad, for instance, on damaged infrastructure.
What does it mean? The government again will have to look for more money to bring back those roads that have been destroyed. Okay? Instead, that money would be used to other things. We keep on repeating, we're doing the same construction, okay? And that what does it mean? It means that now we shall be wasting a lot of money, spending a lot of money, okay? On what wouldn't have been spending on, okay? So, it means also we need to look at the quality of the roads we are constructing.
In 2019, Uganda registered 1,542,620 foreign and 566,808 domestic visitors to the major tourist destinations, with the number expected to grow. Achieving that is benchmarked on the wildlife and forestry authorities to streamline conservation avenues for major attraction areas.
If you do not have forests, you will not have the elephants, you will not have the chimps, you will not have all these attractions that people come to see. At National Forestry Authority, we have a deliberate approach to develop and promote ecotourism in Central Forest Reserves. There are areas we are working with communities to develop ecotourism sites, but there are areas we have advertised and invited investors to invest. Like, for example, we have the rainforest in Marida. They are our partners. They are promoting tourism. People go for nature walks, forest walks. People go for research in the forest. All those bring income to NFA and the country while preserving. These are activities that do not degrade the forest.
Investment in environmental conservation holds the potential to provide a multi-pronged progress with success in climate protection and conservation revenue through tourism, among other avenues. Ivan Tivenkana, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And we shall be returning with more business today, including the coffee court after the break. Stick around.
Smart 24, driving business.
Futinbuto, the taste of Uganda in a new international park.
Mukwano?
Yes?
I need you to help me watch the kids. I'm going to pay school fees.
I've finished.
Excuse me.
Relax. Sit down, watch TV. I've already paid.
Chikole for less, hakuna hassle, no stress. Whether night or day, tuli okay. Wangatuli ku FlexiPay.
Don't hustle to pay bills or send money. Chikole for less. Le FlexiPay. Hold it.
Chikole for less with FlexiPay. Dial *291# to transact or download the FlexiPay app to get started. Stanbic Bank. It can be. Stanbic Bank is regulated by the Bank of Uganda, and customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, up to 10 million shillings.
Smart 24, driving business.
back from the break and let's head to our coffee pit. Now, the worst thing that may happen to a road user or any driver, a road accident. Now, the majority of the road users are quite aware of the general safety precautions and the rules that apply when using the roads. However, accidents are frequently happening, most especially during this festive season. And these accidents and wrecks only occur as a result of road users' negligence. So in our topic tonight, we talk about the increasing accidents in the country, and even today we did have an accident, a car on a highway. Let's have more of this discussion.
Well, as the year comes to the end, one of the most critical sectors that we ought to analyze is the transport sector. Joining me this time around is Mr. Byron Chinene, the chairperson of the Regional Road Drivers and Transporters Association. Of course, we weigh in on the ups and downs regarding the transport sector for the year 2022. Mr. Chinene, Byron, my pleasure once again. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, and I wish you the best. Thank you for inviting me here.
Some people say 2022 has been a blessing. I don't know whether it's been a curse.
Well, I don't know what you mean by being a blessing, because this is when we have been experiencing the outcomes of the pandemic. And just after the pandemic, we didn't expect this, because many people thought that if COVID has gone, then we have gone back to our normal days. And again, it is a year when you have got another Ebola. Ebola has hit us. So being a blessing and being a curse, I think, let's say, for those who have been alive, we just thank God. But things have been hard, and they are still hard.
So let's begin, on the positive side. I know.
Well, on the positive side, we have learned something, because now we can't say we have just gone like that. It has been a class, it has been a lecturer. It has taught us many things that we need to do this. Literally, did we know that agriculture was going to be something very important to the nation? But we saw when the farmers were enjoying the movement and the other people were locked at home. So the positive side, we have learned many things. People have learned that this is not the business I have to be with. People have learned that I have to have a side business. So we have learned it has been a good class.
That is on the positive side. And then let's look at on the other negative side.
Well, on the negative side, we have lost contacts of the business people. As people have changed in many businesses, people have collapsed. And the people we used to deal with are not coming anymore. Even now, COVID, if COVID just hit the African countries, it would be fine.
But we are in 2022. You are still talking about COVID, which is COVID-29.
I'm talking about the outcomes. I'm talking about, when it is like when you have an operation, the heart operation. Okay, the operation is done, and now you are done, but now the outcome, you are weak. Now you grow the weaknesses.
The body is weak.
The body is weak. You can't go back to do things which you used to do. So this weakness, we are weak. We are crippled, by the way. We are crippled, whether it was an accident, but we are now crippled. So we are on crutches, but soon I think we shall move on.
Let's begin with the current. The accidents, every day we are counting accidents, right from the border, the taxi industry, the bus industry, your industry. What is causing all these accidents?
In that category, I speak as an instructor, as a trainer.
But you head the association.
I head an association,
the regional road drivers.
And on that component of the crashes, I speak as a trainer, and I'm a qualified trainer. But now, it is bad to see everybody lamenting when we are having these crashes. And these crashes, they are not something we need to joke with. This is not a film. It is not a movie.
It's a reality.
It It is a reality. And by the way, you know, an accident is something very terrible. Today, you move from here when you are totally alive, when you don't have anything wrong, but within 5 minutes,
you are nowhere.
They say Chinene has gone. And even to the extent that even people could even fail to recognize your body, that this is the Chinene who has been in Smart 24.
That is how terrible it is.
That is how terrible the crashes are. But now, I feel sad when I see even the government lamenting.
Now, before we go to the government, because many times we keep lamenting to government. The farmers are lamenting government. People in Jikuba are lamenting to government. Let's first leave government and discuss this. As people in the sector, what is causing all these accidents?
As the people in the sector, we have been engaging the government and we have been telling the government that these are the issues of the crash.
It's not government driving your own vehicles,
No.
Mr.
First
Byron.
of all, you know, this we are talking about road safety and we mean lives of the people. And in road safety, there are 3 components you have to handle.
Okay.
The policy level or the regulation. There must be a policy.
We have the policy on board.
There must be the regulations.
They are there.
They are there. And we thank the government for that. There must be awareness.
Government has done it every Monday. The traffic officer gives us updates and cautions us on how to drive.
I said I'm talking as an instructor. When you are talking about awareness, how does Chinene become a driver on the road? How do I become a driver? That is the sense. That's where we need to look into. Oh, if Chinene is a driver, okay, he learned on the job. How do we make him a proper driver? A good driver on the road. Because driving means if you mess up, you don't correct the mistake.
That is what driving is.
Yeah, if you mess up with things. When you are on a computer, you can see, let me edit here, let me edit here. In driving, we don't edit. If you make a mistake, that means people's lives have gone. Okay. So awareness, training, that is the key. Who are the people driving on our roads? Because just the word to define a driver is a trained, a tested, and a qualified person to be in charge of a certain machine.
So do we have drivers in this country?
Very few. On a percentage, we have like a 20%.
Who authorizes them?
Well, we authorize them. It is me and you who authorizes these drivers.
Because you head this important association.
Yes.
Which carries thousands and thousands of goods.
Yes, because when you go to the training school, they are also sick. When you go to the people saying we are teaching drivers, they are also sick. When you go to the facilities in the driving schools, they need to be catered for.
So patients are teaching patients. In other words, sick drivers are teaching sick people.
Instructors are teaching sick drivers and with the sick facilities. Okay, we are not saying that we need the government to come in and maybe put up facilities. No, the private sector can do this.
Let's first leave government, and good enough you're bringing me to speed on.
The private sector can do this. So long as the policy and the regulations are, again, the third component is enforcement.
So you agree with me that we have the policy?
We have a policy.
We have the law, which is the traffic and road safety.
Very good laws.
Very good laws.
Very good laws.
So what is the problem?
The problem, when we come to the awareness or training and the enforcement, that's where we go wrong. You know, in Uganda we have the best laws, but when it comes to enforcement,
that has become a song on a daily basis. We keep saying we have the better laws.
We have the better laws.
But having better laws,
well documented, but when it comes to implementation and enforcement, that is where sometimes we go wrong. I don't know who is to blame. I don't want to point fingers.
Neither do I want to do so.
But we are all involved.
Let me focus on your sector as the chairman in charge of the Region Road Drivers and Transporters Association.
Yes.
I have been through many trainings, and you say we keep blaming the roads, the enforcers, but these are the enforcers are not the ones driving your own vehicle. It is you and your members that drive these vehicles.
That's why I'm putting much emphasis on the training. I've not blamed the roads. I've not blamed anything. But no, me, I'm just requesting the authorities to enforce the training at the initial stage. You know, it is far better when you are coming into marriage to get the tips about marriage.
Premarital counseling, which many people don't want.
So that you get involved into something which you know.
So what premarital road and safety, that is if I know that's what you're alluding to. So what pre-counseling are you talking about? And what is embedded in this counseling
If
anyway?
people are well trained at the initial stage, when they come, as they go on graduating, they get trainings.
So what are the ingredients of the training you're talking about?
Oh, the ingredient, you know, now like, let me give you an example. People think that the drivers and even the owners of the vehicles, they think that driving is about the gearing, is about the reversing. Even when we are doing the training, when they are even testing drivers.
But that is it anyway.
Yes,
it's about driving.
The testing is about, can you reverse this trailer from here to there? That's not what you mean by driving.
What is it anyway?
You know, driving is like pregnating a woman.
It's very simple. Pregnating a woman is very simple.
Any man, so long as your organs are working.
Exactly.
You can impregnate a woman. But being called a father, that is different. Because if you now, like, even a mad man can produce a child.
You're talking in parables, because being a father, it involves a number of things.
So long as you are normal, your legs are good, your hands are normal, you can see, you can become a driver. You can be tested, you can even learn anyhow and become a driver. But being a good driver on the road, that is about your mindset.
Are you saying we have unsober people on the road?
They don't know what to do. In driving philosophy, that is a full model in the East African curriculum.
Mr. Byron, you're telling me we should now initiate schools of psychiatric doctors that should put emphasis on focusing on mental issues for your drivers. Because if you're saying it's about mindset, it means now government must initiate a school that must first of all bring your drivers into these training centers.
Let me give you an example. You are there.
I am here.
Anybody can sit there. Anybody can put on a suit with a tie.
That's what you think.
And interview people. So long as I can speak. But that is not the case.
It goes beyond that.
You are trained for that. Your mindset, even if you left home after quarreling with your wife, because of the training you got, you can't bring those issues here in the studio.
I would think even the driver, when a driver, I know what it means leaving home when you have issues. I would think the same drivers would behave that way. That despite the fact you have issues here and there, the moment you sit into that lorry, you sober up and...
That is what is got from the training. Okay, you are going to drive. This is a big machine. But now we are behaving like we are having our own jungle laws. The bigger the machine I'm driving, the more I want to step on people on the road. Because my machine is very big. That's why you see, even in these buses, the way they hoot, these horns they install in the buses, that means you are forcing people out of the road. And who gave you that mandate?
I am also reliably told your people make these accidents because they are told to drive one route and they go beyond those routes. If a normal Fred Makubia who performs a simple task is required to have some good rest, your drivers don't rest enough.
We don't rest because there are many issues, by the way. Because now let me tell you, if I'm working for Makubia, Makubia doesn't want me to rest. Because the more trips I fill from anywhere, is the more I'm paying.
Isn't that where we go wrong? Your life is more important than the job.
That's
Mr.
why
Byron.
I'm saying awareness. Awareness. Are these people informed? Because even the owner of these trucks, how much money did you buy that truck? You, the manager, you are there because the company has trucks. If they are finished, you have no job. Now, we need to respect the properties, the trucks, more than we respect the profit we think we are going to make. Because in a year, even if you have made profits and you have lost 2 trucks, have you made profits? You think you are making profits because of the many trips these drivers are bringing to you. But in a year, you have lost 2 trucks.
So what do you talk about in your training? Because I know you usually hold many trainings.
Oh,
so what
the
exactly?
training, that's what we say. A man in the city. You need to change your mind. Don't just look at the profits. Because let me tell you, 100% of the crashes, it is the responsibility of the driver. 100%. You know, the research is saying that 75% is human error. That's what is in the books. 16% road condition. Something like any percentage remaining about mechanical condition. But this is not rocket science. It is a simple calculation. Okay, 70%. That is human error. Who is the human?
It's the driver.
The driver.
But then you, the proprietor, how do you get one driver, put him in charge over one lorry?
Yes. Okay. No. Let me first make my point. The 16%, which we call road condition, who is to assess the condition of the road?
That's government.
Before it goes there.
That's government, that's Ministry of Works.
It is the driver.
To assess the road?
If there is a pothole there, it is me to first assess the danger of that pothole. If there is a corner, it is me to assess the danger of the corner. If it is raining, it is me to assess the speed I must drive during this wet season. It is me, the driver. So I can't say there was a crash because there was a pothole.
That would be wrong argument.
What was I saying as a driver? Okay, there is a pothole. Now the pothole is not the problem.
So what do we do, Mr. Byron?
Because I've identified it. Now secondly, the other percentage of mechanical condition of the vehicle. Who is to know the condition of the vehicle first? That if I take this vehicle on the road, it might cause danger to me, first of all, and to other road users. Because by putting things right in driving, I'm not helping anybody. I'm helping myself.
You're helping yourself. Oh, I hope that's the message you preach to everybody.
On
a daily basis.
You know, even if I knock a goat,
you don't care.
No, I'm driving like I'm driving and I knock a goat. Will I just proceed?
No, you don't. You don't.
Imagine if, like, I knock a goat, my vehicle gets a problem, and the owner of the goat is just within that area.
Mr. Byron, what do we do? Because this is a very interesting discussion, and I know we can proceed.
Yes.
We'll need some other time.
So what we do,
as we
need to come on a round table.
With who?
We need no. As it's all stakeholders. I mean all stakeholders, because there are somewhere people are pointing fingers at the police. You know, me in this, it is self-discipline is the only solution to help the road users, because we have no policemen which are going to line up. Let me say from here to Chisoro, policemen are lining up, because when we have these road checkpoints, the operation in Fika Salama, you know, when vehicles are approaching that checkpoint, you see a big queue. You see disciplined people. approaching the authorities.
But after
approaching the enforcers. Now, after, and even the police just looks. Here, we even connive. Pickups connive with the passengers. If they're approaching traffic men, they get off. They pick up.
I'm afraid we're running short of time, Mr.
Now,
Chinene.
after passing, again, so what I mean, we all send, we need to come on board. All stakeholders, we come on board. Everybody need to take his own responsibility if you're going to make things right.
Everybody must take his or her own responsibility. It is of danger for you to rush and get home in a coffin. You had actually better delay on the road.
And even their bodies.
But
there are people who are now going before Christmas.
Thank you, Mr.
There are people who have organized themselves to meet the road.
That is it for today. My name is Fred Makubia, and this is the Coffee Court.
Well, as we leave you tonight, is only our request is to remind you that you should be very cautious as you're driving your final destination, whether you're heading back home or you're leaving your relatives coming back to town. You should be very cautious because apparently there are lots of accidents happening on most of the highways leading to different destinations across East Africa. And that was our Coffee Court discussion, rotating around the ever-growing range of accidents within the country. I'm Paul Sonko with Winnie and Akauchi on Sign Language. We've been coming to you live from Kampala, plot 42 Nile Avenue. This is Smart 24 TV. Have a blessed night. Evening.